not. She is the queen of the WBC.
And Stephen Espinosa.
I didn't get to
That's okay. We're on.
One sec. I'm trying to connect to the computer instead.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to round number 15 of the WBC Talks. Stay home, stay safe. We have a really great panel with a lot of people that it's going to teach us so many things. First, I want to introduce 𝗧𝗟𝗡𝗗. Jill, she's going to conduct this round. And would you please, Jill, introduce everybody?
I would love to. It's my pleasure. Well, Victor Silver, whom everybody knows. Badu, are you here? Badu is missing right now. He'll be back. All right. So we know Mauricio Sulaimán, the president of the WBC. Stephen Espinoza, the president of Showtime Sports. Brenda Andress, the president of, I'm running out of the president of She Is Sports. Scott Welsh, the chairman of the WBC Cares UK. And who am I missing? Lonnie Ali. Where are you, Lonnie? Lonnie disappeared, but Lonnie will be back. Lonnie Ali needs no introduction. She is the queen of the WBC, married to one of the most iconic sports figures in history and the driving wheel behind the Ali Foundation and many other great charities. And when Badu Jack comes back, as he's switching to his computer, Badu is a champion and also the head of the Badu Foundation. Did I do that twice?
No, but you know, Badu was the winner of the humanitarian award last WBC convention, which is very special. Badu is an unbelievable human being.
Unbelievable.
Got a beautiful family, and what a great panel we have today. The idea is to spend 1 hour together with familiar faces to get our mind out of this movie that we are all facing. Uncertain times, anxiety, but the truth is that we are all winners, we're all champions, and we're gonna get through this. And we just like to praise each one of you for your contribution for humanity, because you are all very special. Thank you very much.
So why don't we just start? So what is it that the people on our panel have in common?
It's that's Badu Jack is connected now.
Hello, Badu.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we cannot.
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Let me see.
All right, Badu will return again. So what is it that all of these wonderful people have in common? We're calling today Sports, Faith, and Philanthropy. Why sports? Because sports teaches us discipline and resiliency, faith in ourselves, faith in others, faith in a higher power, faith that we're going to get through this stronger and better. Philanthropy, keeping your eye on others' needs instead of just your own, just like those people out there who are risking their lives for ours. That's what all these people share. We're living in a world that feels like a virtual world. Some would even say it's a terrifying world. Still, there are many, many amazing people who are helping others. And even before this pandemic, there were those who sought to make others' lives better, whether by work or donation or by using their celebrity to do good. So today we are blessed with those who have worked publicly or privately for the betterment of the world, particularly through our unique platform, sports. So the question we ask always, will compassion win out? Is compassion as contagious as COVID? And I'm hoping that today, through hearing about what these wonderful people do, we will find out and be convinced that it is. So firstly, I gotta ask, we're from all other parts of the world. Let's start with Yolanda, Lonnie. How are you handling the stress? What is it like where you are? Lonnie, I can't hear you. Hit your mute. Can we hear Lonnie?
No.
All right. Lonnie, you have to hit the microphone.
No,
There's
but
a little microphone. So we'll come back to Lonnie, and we'll come back to Lonnie. All right, Stephen, you're in New York. What is it like being there?
It's strange, to be completely honest. I live in Manhattan, near Wall Street, and the city is deserted. Whether it's in the middle of the afternoon, 5 o'clock rush in the morning, you know, I could put the camera out the window. There's very few people in the street. People are taking this very seriously, and for good reason. Unfortunately, New York City, New York State is still in a position where we are having between 800 and 1,000 deaths per day still from COVID-19. Obviously, New York City being the epicenter. And because of the population density here, you know, it's a scary thing. Personally, you know, I live here with my girlfriend. The two of us have been outside the apartment twice in the last 4 weeks. So it's, you know, it's a sacrifice. You know, we all have to make it. And I think that's what is, I think, indicative of, you know, the spirit that we need to approach this with. Is it's not about, you know, me not getting sick or my girlfriend not getting sick. It's about us as a community doing the things for each other that will make sure we can proceed as healthily as we can.
Yeah, beautiful. Scott, what is it like in the UK right now?
The UK is quite bad at the moment. There's 771 deaths again today. I think people are really starting to worry. They're staying in more. They're definitely staying in more now, which is great. And I think that's the key. I think everybody's got to stay in, got to listen, got to do everything that the government's saying. And everybody seems to be pulling together and helping, which is fantastic as well. So
It's an amazing feeling how you can mobilize people to really do that, isn't it?
absolutely.
It gives me a great deal of hope. And Badu, you're in Vegas. How is it there?
It's not as bad as in New York or the rest of the country, but yeah, it's pretty bad. Las Vegas Strip is like a ghost town. It's dead. And yeah, I'm here with my family. I built a little small gym in my garage. I have everything I need here as far as training, but except, you know, my trainer and a boxing ring. But yeah, I'm doing the best of this situation, and hopefully soon it will be over. But yeah, I'm just spending time with my family and you know, do the best.
Badu, happy birthday to your daughter. Today's a special day. I hope you have a nice cake and you can sing happy birthday to your beautiful queen.
Thank you, thank you.
Your princess.
Princess. Yeah, I just had a little bit of cake.
The first time I met her, she was on your wife's shoulder. They came to a fight together. She was a little peanut on the shoulder. Just
Yeah.
the most beautiful children.
Thank
Most beautiful. And in fact, she was pregnant with your first child at the convention in China, wasn't she?
you.
I mean,
Exactly.
Korea. Was it Korea?
No, China.
China.
Before the Corona thing.
Yes, years before. Yes, thankfully. Lonnie, are you back with us? Lonnie, can you hear us?
she's back, but for some reason her microphone is not working. So we're trying to get it connected.
Okay. Well, Lonnie, you will be our muse. We'll just stay with you. And Brenda, what's it like in Canada?
Well, Canada's pretty quiet. Everybody's following the rules. You probably hear the train in the background right now that's coming by. I'll wait a second.
Wow, life.
I'm very fortunate. I mean, I'm just outside of Toronto, about an hour. I'm on the waterfront, so you know, it's quite spacious and quite open. But I think that, you know, the positivity that surrounds us right now is, you know, our world, our whole environment is getting a wonderful rest. You know, it's already showing numbers of our waters, our lakes, our air has improved massively with the fact of people are just staying home. And I think that, you know, communication, people connecting by Zoom, people connecting by many different ways, and actually having to have conversations, actually having to talk about things. And I think the other thing that is, you know, I hear a lot of negativity, but what I would say the positivity is starting to outweigh the negativity, because people are starting to say, well, you know, how are we going to come out of this? How are we going to provide opportunities where there wasn't before, but there is now? You take a look at, you know, Canada and US and many different countries are now looking at how do we make sure moving forward that we're producing stuff within our own countries, that we're providing jobs within our own countries that facilitate some of these emergencies. So I think of this as a you know, a very positive outcome will come from something that has kind of, you know, been right here in front of our faces, that has said, take a look at what's going on. Because if you take a look, there has been a ton of deaths around us that has nothing to do with the virus, and that has actually outnumbered the amount of deaths of viruses. And we have never really taken a look at that. And I think there's a lot of different things now coming into perspective for us. So I truly believe in positivity.
I believe it too. Stephen, I mean, with the lack, I mean, Showtime has been showing some wonderful replays of some great fights and all of that, but all of our lives have changed so radically. So firstly, I want to know, what do you do to stay positive? And I also want to talk about some of the incredible documentaries that you have shown during this period of time. And I recommend these, particularly these two. One is Bipolar Rock and Roller, which is about one of our commentators, Mauro Ronaldo. It's an amazing documentary about mental illness, and it brings it into the light, and it's so inspirational. And also the one about Meta World Peace, The Quiet Storm. Can you talk a little bit about that and the positive effects that have had on people?
Sure, absolutely. You know, mental health has been an issue that thankfully has been coming to the forefront in sports as more and more people have you know, are taking the courageous step to you know, to admit how it affects them. You know, and I'll put Mauro in that category. Mauro, who's our play-by-play commentator, also does WWE and does MMA. But Mauro has always been an aspiring commentator. So he's been filming himself since he was 7 or 8 years old with a home video camera. He's also been suffering from bipolar disorder since at least his teenage years. So you put that together, he's got years and years of footage of him at his best and him at his worst. And you saw the documentary recently, Jill, and it is as courageous a thing as that I can imagine. If you are taking your worst moments, your most challenging moments, your most difficult moments, and putting them on film and sharing them with the world openly, especially when you're on social media, you're in the limelight, you have a lot to lose. And I remember a conversation I had with Mauro very early on in the process. I saw the first version, the first cut, and my inclination was I was going to pick up the phone and call him and say, you know, Mauro, you know, your career's going great. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure this is something you want to put out there? You can't pull it back. And as I'm dialing the phone, I caught myself and I realized that's the problem. You know, the problem is that people are judgmental about these things, that people act like it's a big deal and something that should be hidden. And so I realized by me making that call and saying, hey, are you sure you want to do this? That is continuing the same dynamic that keeps people who are suffering in the dark. So I didn't make the call. You know, we supported the documentary, and I think it's one of the most courageous things they could have done. And I think it's a good message for where we are today. Because
Stephen,
believe it or not, we're all suffering in some sense or the other. We may
available?
not. Go ahead.
Is documentary available to online or?
Yeah, we had it. We put it. You know, we can repost it. It was on.
It is online.
It is online. It was on YouTube as well. It's on YouTube as well,
Okay,
openly throughout the world.
And you know,
bipolar?
Bipolar rock and roller.
and he has announced some fights, and you know, the WBC is part of the mental health task force in the United States. And we, as I asked you, we would love for him to come and speak in May, if it happens this May or next May, in Washington, to the children on mental health, because he's quite an inspiration. And the other thing is how Showtime has dealt with him, which is quite amazing. I mean, instead of getting rid of him, you've brought him out into light, used him as you can, and gone along with his condition, because what he does is so valuable.
Yeah, and I'm not giving away any of his secrets. He says this in the documentary, but Mauro, called Mayweather Pacquiao for us, and then a week later he went into the hospital, into a mental hospital, because he was struggling. He had a reoccurrence he had an episode of bipolar, and it was a little in some ways connected to his to actually doing the fight and being involved in it. Not in a negative way. It's just, there are certain ways in which the illness works. So, look, at this point, as I was saying, we are all suffering in one way or the other. Whether it's, not having the same interpersonal contact, not being able to do fulfilling work at our job, being stuck inside, not being able to exercise, perhaps. There's a range in ways in which we're all suffering. Many people severely. And I think what's more critical at this point than ever is that we are reaching out to each other. And we all tend to ask the question, hi, how are you? Right now, that's a more serious question. And I think it's a question that we need to ask and actually ask sincerely and expect a sincere answer. Not the, hi, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? It's almost, no, let's actually, listen and be honest. Hey, it's a rough day. It's a rough day today. I miss my family. I haven't seen them, whatever it is. But I think, this connection, what you are doing here as an organization is critically important, because we are in some sense all suffering from this. And I think we all have a role to play in terms of uplifting others.
Thank you, Stephen. I mean, it is quite amazing. And I think this period of time has been very humbling for everybody, and maybe will give us the impetus to be vulnerable and to reach out to each other. And that will, I mean, I can't imagine what the first hug is going to feel like. I mean, it gets me through the day sometimes, and Scott, you have worked with some very disadvantaged people who you've made feel powerful and important. I would love for you to talk about the program that you're running in the UK for adaptive boxing.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some great guys that are working with me at the moment. Louise Fay, she's doing amazing stuff. She's got a Facebook group called Weekday Wheelchair Workouts, and she's doing that every day, 10:30 in the morning. And she's joining forces with Rising Stars in Dubai. So she'll be working, a few of them from Dubai will be working with her as well. She's done amazing work. And
how does it feel as an athlete, but as an athlete who's always dependent on your body was your platform, to be able to give that gift to people who couldn't even walk before? I mean, that must be an amazing feeling.
I believe that what we're doing here with these people is amazing. They're absolutely loving it. They've shown me how important all the work we're doing is, and working with these guys. Whether in a wheelchair or not, it doesn't matter. They're fantastic people. They want to show us. They want to do the work, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And they're doing incredible things. And I believe in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see some unbelievable, incredible things out there by these people, what they're going to do and how they're going to show us how incredible they are.
Lonnie, do we have you now?
I hope so.
Oh, we celebrate.
Yeah, I turn the phone
Thank you
on
for
and
your
off.
patience.
That's okay. I could always hear you.
What?
I said I could always hear you guys and see you. You just couldn't hear me.
Yes, yes.
Oh, you're the
That
invisible.
might have been divine intervention.
I hope you were saying nice things about us while you were offline.
No, I was working with Victor trying to get this fixed, and he was right. I had to turn the phone on and off. So
Thank
glad
you,
to be
Victor.
here.
So, I mean, there's so many things to ask you. You've been through so much in your life, and you've been an advocate. You've been what we call you our champion's champion. I mean, involved with the Ali Foundation, the Parkinson's Foundation, Celebrity Fight Night. I can't even name all the things. You have so much to teach and so much to share. I don't know how much of this is, quote, faith-based, that giving you the courage and motivation to not only keep going, but to keep challenging yourself. Give us some information. Give us some food.
You know, it is faith-based. You know, I was raised Catholic, even though I'm Muslim now. And that sort of provided me the foundation of a very strong belief in God. And I always believe that whatever I'm doing is because that's where he wants me. So I always implore him for his help, aid, and assistance. And, you know, if he wants to, if you put me here, get me through it. And I mean, that's basically the way I talk to God. If you want me here, you put me here, help me get through it. And even with this, what's going on today, you know, if Muhammad were here, he would say that this is an example of God showing us that he is in charge and we are not, because there's nothing we can do. We're at the mercy of this horrible virus that is robbing so many people of their livelihood, their lives, their loved ones. And it's awful. I mean, for somebody our age, and I won't say what age that is, we've never lived through this. We've never lived through anything like this. So it's, you know, it's a teaching moment, but it's also a moment for us to be humbled and to understand the divine power that controls everything. But, you know, like you, I heard you say, Jill, that you can't wait to be hugged. And I'm wondering how this is going to alter our social interactions in the future. Will we actually hug anyone anymore? You know, being raised in the South, that's just something we do. We hug, we handshake. But, you know, I'm just wondering, can we do that anymore? Will we be able to do that anymore? I think it's going to change the, you know, our social and human interactions, unfortunately.
I think for a while. For a while it will. But you are lucky. You are with your family right now, and you're in Kentucky?
That is correct. I'm actually
What is it like there? What is it like there?
You know what? We have been very fortunate. I'm sort of like, I'm actually in Indiana, Southern Indiana, you know, Louisville, Indiana, whatever, Kentucky, Indiana. But both governors of both states have been very responsive to this outbreak and have taken, you know, some of the most extreme measures that they can enforce as governors to protect all citizens. So it is a shelter-in-place mandate for all of us. In fact, the governor of Kentucky is saying that if you have been outside of the state and are coming back in, that you will have to self-quarantine for 14 days. And hopefully people are doing that. But we've had, you know, we've had deaths, we've had incidences of, you know, the disease being contracted. And I think our deaths are fortunately less than a lot of other states, but I think it's because of the early measures that were taken by both governors to protect the populace. And, you know, we're very appreciative of that. But, you know, it's difficult because, you know, we are social beings and it's hard to sit in this home day in and day out and do nothing. I mean, well, and I say do nothing, I mean, not, you know, not going about our normal activities.
Separated from the lives we knew. But you know, the thing I keep thinking, Lonnie, babies are still being born, hearts are being broken. I mean, life is going on above and outside this, and it will be there for us when we get back to it. Seeing the big picture, staying positive, as Mauricio had said at the beginning, be aware, but be calm. And that is the best tact.
And that is actually the message that the Kentucky governor has preached. Be aware, be calm, be safe. But we'll get through this, and I believe that we'll get through it, you know, and come out on the other end stronger, I hope. But I think you know, it's important that we, you know, understand and maintain a sense of family and stay connected to our friends. And this sort of gives us pause to be able to do that. There's no excuse now for not making that phone call to a loved one, or, you know, writing a note to a friend to say how much you appreciate them. You know, I have friends who have been affected by this virus. In fact, one of doctors, one of Muhammad's doctors in Michigan, who was fantastic, has come down with this simply because he was so aggressive, so dedicated in his position of being a physician and helping and being on the front lines. He contracted it and now is in a fight for his life. So, you know, my prayers are going up for him and other friends who I know who have contracted this illness. So to say that it doesn't touch us or we think we're immune, that doesn't work. It's true, it affects all of us, but it's how we deal with that, you know? How do we deal with that? So I'm trying to keep busy, and I'm cooking a lot, and, you know, reaching out to people and seeing how I can help, trying to offer words of inspiration daily, keeping up with all the updates, and trying to inspire, trying to do what I think Muhammad would be doing now, besides watching his fights on ESPN.
Is there anything going on at the Ali Foundation that we can tune into or tweet out, or anything that we can send out to the public that would be helpful?
I really appreciate you asking, but like everything else,
Shut down.
the center is shut down. I mean, we had to protect our employees, our staff, and our visitors. We couldn't allow it to be open. So it's shut down for the duration.
Well, I so hear what you're saying about reaching out to people, because possibly one of the cruelest things about what's happened is that we can't say goodbye to our people who are suffering or who have passed. So we really need each other to reach out, send those texts, send those virtual hugs to people who are suffering, really be there for them.
Right.
So thank you for saying that. Brenda, women's sports, you were making such strides with it. Are we going to get back there when this is over? Please tell them a little bit about 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦, because I don't think the people in this group are familiar with the organization. And then how do we get back to where we're going? Because we are right with you on that.
Well, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡 was born from a place of positivity. When, 4 years ago, there was a lot of negativity happening in our world with politics, both Canada side and US side. Black Lives Matter here was massive in marching. And my friends called me up and said, "Hey, Brenda, are you going to march?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And they were shocked because they said, "Well, you always march." And I said, "I do, but I'm so tired of everybody going out and marching. And then what happens after they march is they all go home and nobody does anything. Nobody follows through on anything." So I said, "I'm not going to march. I'm done marching." I said, "I want to create a company that is built from positivity. I'm going to start something not because something's wrong. I'm going to start something because I think it's right." And what I thought was right is that women's sports deserved a voice of saying that if you, the fan, would come out and watch our games, then we wouldn't have to worry about the press and the sponsors and everybody else supporting us, because you, the fan, could make the difference. An individual could make a difference. And I wanted to say to the individual, just like I wanted to say to the marching, I need you to stand up and take action. I don't need you to hashtag, I believe in something. I need you to pick your feet up. I need you to go to a game. I need to turn the TV on. I really need you to take action. And so 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗 was born. And the first thing I did was I called every single commissioner of all the professional women's sports and said, I think if we work outside our silos and not within them, we can be stronger. And we did. We are the first group in history that have brought every single woman. Recently, we just brought the LPGA, and we just brought the racing world of NASCAR with their female team to our table. And so we sit as a collective with phenomenal people like Jill representing.
And Mauricio. Mauricio's on your board.
Yeah. Oh yes, there you go. And so we came together, and I think one of the things that we decided to do is one thing I believe is that sports is a universal language. It does not matter what language you speak. If a sports activity is going on throughout the world, it's a universal language of people being passionate about it. It's a universal language of people being involved in it and watching it. You don't have to know the language to watch it and understand it and cheer for it. And so that was one of the first things we kind of recognized. Women's sports, though, professional across the world is only 4% covered, you know, and we did a wonderful thing. She is called Women Worth Watching. And we hit over 1 billion viewers and hits with our hashtag Women Worth Watching, which every single sport was involved. And so that's the types of things we kind of do. We basically are here to mobilize the fans into action and to work with all the commissioners. How are we going to come out of this? It's going to be difficult for women in sports because women in sports was at the lowest part of the totem pole to begin with. It's the first time in history that even male sports has shut down because of something that's happening in our world. You know, through the wars, through, you know, depressions, through everything else, sports has always continued in some facet, some way. But this is the first time where sports itself, nobody has a way to go and entertain themselves. Nobody has a way to do it. And so the male sports, and nothing against the males because I love them, but it's like the male sports themselves coming out of this are going to have to fight for sponsorships. They're going to have to fight to get the fan back. You know, everybody's coming out of this with some big opportunities and challenges. And females are, you know, we were fighting at that particular point before we went into this. So we're taking a look at some really key opportunities, which I think is phenomenal for us right now because our world is quiet, because we have the time to take a look at what's going around. We also have this opportunity to say, when this is over, what's important to us? How are we going to reach people? And how are we going to touch their lives with women's sports? So we've got a couple of things for SHEIAs, which we're going to be bringing to the board and the collective very soon. We've got a couple of great ideas that we're partnering with people, because I believe that the sponsors coming out of this particular situation need to drive a message with purpose. And SHEIAs is totally about driving messages with purpose. And we believe, and we're hoping we are correct, is that sponsors, specifically sponsors right now and businessmen who are making quite a bit of money off of this, you know, epidemic that's going across our world. And we're saying you need to have your message with a purpose and not just for making money. And so that's how we're approaching them. And it will be difficult, but I think I'm a firm believer in that no matter what is put in front of us in the past with our world, and no matter what is put in front of us in the future, we will survive. And we will survive because of our belief in that, you know, no matter what, at the end of the day, light always comes. Darkness only survives for so long. Light will come. The people who are ready for that light will stand up and will make the difference coming out of this.
Well, you've excited me, Brenda. Thank you. So, Badu, before we touch on your foundation, what is it that you learned in boxing that's helping you get through this time?
I mean, it's first thing is to stay disciplined. You still gotta, you know, provide for your family. You still gotta work out a little bit if you can, and yeah, that's basically it. And stay hydrated. Especially, you know, to boost your immune system with taking vitamins, eat clean, and yeah, I mean, everything, you win some, you lose some. So I mean, this is a bad spot right now, but you know, after the storm, after the rain comes sunshine. So
well, you cover all three: boxing, faith, and philanthropy. Tell us a little bit about why you went to one of the most difficult parts of the world to start your foundation.
I mean, that's the refugees, of course.
Yes.
Refugee kids. So the 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗 Foundation, our mission is to give kids all over the world a fighting chance in life. So right now, we have our teams in both Jordan and Gambia that supply, you know, all the essential stuff for all the kids over there right now. Most things are shut down, but yeah, we're doing the best we can. And we're gonna launch a new website this week. Let me see, jointeamjack.com. So
you'll let us have that so we can post it for you, right?
Definitely.
And Mauricio, I haven't forgotten about you because we're talking about sports, faith, and philanthropy. Tell us about 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡𝗗 and how that led to 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗 and your meeting with the Pope and what that means to you in terms of this situation.
Well, we have the great fortune to have met Pope Francis, and for him to have given the WBC the opportunity to represent his foundation, Escolas Ocurrentes, through boxing, through sports. And this led to a series of Fight for Peace. The first one was Canelo with Amir Khan, a Muslim against a Catholic. And we have had a few of those, but most importantly is the relationship with the kids through the gymnasiums. 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡𝗗 is intended to reach as many kids as possible to learn through sports the values and the essential principles that we must all abide in our day-to-day life. This moment, Pope Francis, he's a tremendous inspiration. I don't know if you have watched the masses that he has performed all alone in the Vatican. And this is not about Catholics or Muslims or Jewish. It's about humanity. And we are all in together. I really enjoy and I'm learning from what I'm hearing from this panel, which is full of dedicated, altruist persons. Lonnie Ali is one of the most beautiful, special human beings I have ever met. She sacrificed her life to give the greatest boxer, the greatest athlete in history, a life under very complicated physical circumstances. So Lonnie is my hero, my inspiration. 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡𝗗, as I just said, he's an active boxer who is doing so much to give back to the community, and never pretentious, never it's for him, it's for others. He has a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, and it's just an example of what we expect to see in our champions. Scott Welch, working with the WBC Cares, and especially with the with the special adaptive boxing. It's been a sensational journey with Scott. And Brenda, I follow, I supported. Jill has been a tremendous advocate, and we will always be there, and we believe in it. Because boxing, the WBC took women since 2004, and we have fought for them like nobody else. We have done 3 world conventions. Lonnie was crowned as the Queen of Boxing in Tijuana during one of those conventions. The last one was in the Philippines. So this
Brenda was there.
Oh, Brenda, okay, of course. This is for women only. And Stephen, what a sensational person you are, Stephen. Your girlfriend, she's unbelievable. And I have seen you always backstage, always in the dark, but making so many great things happen. And this is a kind of people that the world needs. This is challenging, but if we don't take care of ourselves, our mental health, we cannot do anything. I've been telling how I learned through these WBC talks, through the experts, the key is isolate your mind from the negative things that create anxiety. If you watch news, or if you talk to one guy that you know that he's gonna tell you all these tragic stories, and that creates anxiety, stop doing it. Just watch the elemental news you're not gonna solve the oil prices, you're not gonna create the vaccine, you're not gonna solve what is happening around the world that is hurting us. We have to stay strong at home, mentally, have to exercise to be strong physically, and this eventually will come out, and we will remember these times as historic. I mean, thousands of years from now, they will be talking about what is happening today. But just hearing you, having you in this panel, gives us a great motivation. And for those who are listening and hearing, it's a great way of understanding how one person, if you benefit one person, you make great. If you may benefit 2, 5, 100, that is a multiplying effect. And you have the power of doing it even if it's by a computer.
And Mauricio, I gotta, you and Victor and Jill and 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦 and the entire organization, I have to, we all should recognize you for the efforts that you're doing now during this time. And on a more personal note, we talk about inspiring people. Your own personal journey toward health over the last, year or two has been beyond inspirational, and the way that you've shared the steps that you've taken and the way you've emphasized, health and dealing with stress and things in your own life. Sharing that journey has made that go from someone that something that benefits one person to something that actually inspires, thousands around the world. So we've got to recognize and thank you for doing that on behalf of the organization and yourself personally.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much.
They say that anxiety and excitement come from the same place. We just label the emotion when it comes out. So Lonnie, they have been able to mobilize an entire planet, I mean, because of this disease. Do you think when this is over that we can take that same concept and mobilize the world into something good, focus on something positive? Do you think it's even possible?
Well, Muhammad would say all things are possible. And I believe it's possible, but sometimes our memories are short and we forget. So I think, that would be a wonderful opportunity for all people from all over the globe to mobilize and do something positive, to not only help this planet, but to help other people who are suffering in so many different ways, in so many different places. And it may just start in your own community, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity to do that.
And I think when you do that, Stephen will shoot it, correct?
That's right. And Jill,
well, that's interesting, because actually I'm starting a podcast with a friend, John Ramsey, about Ali and all of us. And it's all about the humanity in all of us, that we share experience and, and how people are affecting the lives of others. So, maybe it'll be the start of something big. Let's hope. Let's hope, like you said, let's hope there's light that comes from this darkness.
And you'll give us that information too, so we can get it out there, because I know everyone's going to watch that. Is it going to be it's going to be a podcast or also with visual?
We hope to have visual with it.
Great. I know Mauricio has a lot of stories about being a little child and walking into the room and finding your husband there. Tell that story, Mauricio, how it transcends.
Well, my first memory in boxing ever, I was home. I must have been 2 or 3 years old, and I hear this loud noise. So I run downstairs only to find these 2 huge men in the living room with my father. And it was Don King and Muhammad Ali. So that was my first ever experience with Muhammad Ali. But let me share one that I always enjoy saying it because it was special. I was young, and it was 1988. Muhammad Ali was in Mexico with Mike Tyson, Don King, many champions. It was a WBC convention. So after the ceremony, we'll drive to this huge restaurant in Mexico City. Mike Tyson is the current champion, and Ali is the biggest ever. So Muhammad was so bright, and he just got my father, and he told, now is Mike Tyson's moment. Please take care and make sure that is, take care of Mike Tyson. That's basically what he told him. So my father said, please stay with Muhammad, and I will come back in 5 minutes so we can go to the table, blah, blah, blah. So they go, and I'm there with Muhammad Ali, and he tells, and he says, I'm hungry. So I immediately look, and I find this thing, and I give it to him, and he bites, delicious, and he takes a huge bite, and then he says, what is this? And I say, pork. Being Muslim, you don't, I mean, I was so he started spitting it, and I was so ashamed of what had happened. But he was so nice. He just hugged me. He said, "Don't worry, it's okay. Just it didn't happen. It's okay, no problem." But just being around Muhammad Ali is something that even if it was 1 second, it would change your life forever.
So maybe it's too soon to ask this question, but let's fantasize a little bit. Next steps. I mean, there will be next steps. We miss our sports. We miss our people. Stephen, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do right now, but what are you doing to try to prepare for the what if? Are there any next steps?
Well, there's a lot of planning that can be done. I mean, we have schedules, the back half of the year, assuming all kinds of things, assuming we're back in June or July or August or September, what will our schedule look like? I think personally, not that I'm anywhere near an expert, my personal belief is we are probably going to be operating in a situation where we can't have crowds at events for some period of time, maybe months, maybe longer. So we're looking at what kind of facilities we could host fights at that won't have crowds. I'd prefer to do it with crowds, and if it's safe to do it with crowds, we'll do it with crowds. But for the time being, I think we're exploring all these other alternatives, on sound stages, in closed facilities.
You could do it at my house right now. It's just me and my dog.
In the backyard, all of it, and anything, that's the great thing. So I think you have to keep busy with, preparing for all the various alternatives. I mean, that's all we can do at this point. But I do think I want to circle back to something that I think that, Jill, both you and is the what we have right now is a situation that has demanded and delivered huge change across the world. So this is a good reminder that, look, this is in extreme circumstances and people's lives are at stake. But, you really should never hear that it can't be done. If we can do this on days' notice, if people can fundamentally change all of their behavior, their work behavior, their personal behavior, the way they approach, their daily life on a moment's notice, essentially, then, we should never think that, there's anything that's too big to change or too difficult to change, because we've seen the world change in just a matter of weeks. And yeah, and we've seen the benefits, although they're probably temporary for the time being, the benefits to the environment and the earth. So from now on, look, nothing's impossible. We've done this, we can do anything.
Jill,
That's amazing.
I would like to ask, this is kind of a restart. We can use this as a restart. And as Lonnie said, people has a short memory, and sometimes this is going to change habits. This is going to change priorities and perspectives. Can we change the perspective to some point that benefits, or the perspective will be what we want it to be, like she is, for example?
Well, I mean, I certainly will answer that question. Can we change the perspective? I think each individual has the power to change their perspective. I don't believe we have the power to change somebody else's, but I think if we can change our own perspective, if we can change how we react, I think the people around us want to be like us because they see the difference we make in the world. I think they see the peace within ourselves. And I think I think there's an opportunity that, is so well for us in many ways to change things. And Lonnie, your answer to Jill's question before about the mobilization, it's so perfect in so many different ways, because we're going to come out of this and there's going to be people that will go back within an instant to who they were and how they treated the world and how they treated others and how they treated the environment. But I believe God or universe or whatever an individual wants to call it said that our world needed a rest, and so the world is at a rest. Ourselves, our bodies, our minds, our worlds, our environment, and our sports, everybody right now is at a rest, and there is an opportunity to change the perspective for sure coming out of this. in some small way, whatever the small percentages it will be, this world will change, and the people will change, not because of it, but because they themselves have seen it, have been touched by it, and have heard some calling within themselves to make a difference. So I totally believe the perspective will change.
You know what occurs to me is like the people in China, the one side effect is they saw the sky for the first time because of the lack of pollution. One morning they're going to wake up and the sky will be gone again. I wonder what that's going to mean to them. It's hard to know. Badu, what are next steps for you?
I mean, I'm trying to stay in shape, and as soon as this is over, I want to start training camp. I want to get back in there. So, yeah, we had something not officially scheduled, but yeah, around this time. So we just got to postpone it, and yeah, I can't wait to get back in there.
Scott?
Well, we have Anthony Irel watching, and he says hello. Also, Luis Fay from Adaptive Boxing. They say hello. There are people watching, and Irel says he wants to fight Badu Jack. We can do it on Nintendo.
Oh,
You know?
we can make it. We have all the people on this call. We can make a deal right here. We've got a network. We have the sanctioning body. We've got the fighters. We can get it all done.
Come up with the money.
Scott, what are your next steps?
I think we're just waiting for it to start to move again, and then we can really, I believe this has changed people's perspectives. As you're saying, I believe that it's going to be a different world out there, and I believe it will be a different world for the better. I think this has really brought the communities together, and it's going to change. I believe it's going to change people's mindsets and make the world a better place. I believe if we can come through it and everyone keeps listening and staying in and we get through it, I believe that we can change it for a better time. And then we go to work and do our stuff again. And hopefully everybody will be on board more and be able to help us more. And I believe it's going to be an incredible place.
Lonnie, I know what your next step is, to go someplace where the sun is shining.
Well,
right?
that's my immediate first step, yes. My immediate first step to get us to some heat and sunshine. But, you know, this is an opportunity for me to work on this podcast, to do some reflection on my own life and how to improve it, how I can help others, and, you know, how we can leave our mark on this world. Because, you know, as Muhammad said, you can't take any of this with you. It's the legacy you leave that impacts the generations to come. So, you know, this is an opportunity for me to think about that. How am I going to leave this world better than the way I found it?
Really? Mauricio?
Well, we're staying busy. We're staying busy. Wake up every day, exercise, take a shower, go to work. I put my clothes as if I was going to go to the office. I go downstairs, like if I'm away from home, I do my work. I make a list of everything that I have to do. Then I take my time for the school with the kids, then lunch with them, then work more, and then time to watch a movie or play with them. And then comes the weekend. I have been trying to keep the schedule as if it was normal life. And I feel very happy when it's Friday and it's a weekend. We are working, the WBC Safe Boxing Task Force is working on putting together a protocol, medical protocol for COVID-19. Whether it's used right now, whether it's used later, promoters, networks, the boxing community is gonna need specific protocols on how to handle.
And you're working with physicians?
Of course, with physicians, with the boxing task force, with the experts. As Stephen was saying, maybe fights will take place without crowd. And you can start now recruiting fighters to putting into a camp with the proper testing, with the isolation for X days, blah, 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 blah. We have to get moving. We have to get, this is not going to beat boxing. Boxing is going to beat the virus, but we're going to do it with the boxing strategy. When you're gonna fight, you have to have a strategy. And this guy, you don't fight it face to face. You gotta move around and box it. So stay home and fight it and defeat it. Marta Salazar, the former heavyweight champion, great woman, great pride, also says hello. And I just feel that we have the power to control your own self and your family and the ones that are near you. We have to stay positive and not get anxious.
But Badu is packing his suitcase now after you spoke, Mauricio. He's ready to go to camp.
I mean, boxers, can you imagine the intention?
I can't.
We are going to see them going at the best because we all give things for granted. So we go day to day and you think everything is going to be there and you're better than anything. Now we're humble. We are nothing. Now we are going to have the opportunity to show what we are in life. So boxing is going to be tremendous as soon as it goes into the first fight that will happen.
Well, that is true. As I said, boxing, faith, and philanthropy, we have it all here. And did you have some positive words, 𝗧𝗏, that you wanted to say for us?
Well, yes, I had something prepared, but you guys have said everything. Really,
You can hear it again. It's always good to hear something positive again.
I've received a huge lecture of sensibility, of humanity from you. I really admire all the work that you do in your organizations. And I'm just, right now, I just want to share a little bit the reflection we did this morning. Sometimes we have two ways of focus. One way to focus is on looking at, when we look at the obvious thing. The obvious thing is that COVID is a reality in the world right now. It doesn't matter if you're in England, the States, Canada, China, it's all over the world, in Europe, okay? But the real thing is that we are human beings who wants a better world, who wants to focus in changes and in positive things. So in that way, that was the reflection. And sometimes our brain betrays us. And we of course, those bad thoughts come to our minds, but we need to have the power to change that. And like you guys were sharing your beliefs and the work that you've done during your life, I've been doing, my life has been dedicated to education. I've worked for more than 25 years in education, and I'm very, very proud that Mauricio had the vision to bring education to the boxing world, because education is necessary. Education, we need education to be a better persons, to have a better world, okay? And with this proposal of the boxing education, I know our president, Mauricio, and all the people who are participating right now in this project, we have the belief, of course, to educate the mind, have a better professionals in boxing, but also to educate the spirit, because we need to be able, with education, with positive actions, to afford, to put something for a better world. So I'm just very, very happy to have the opportunity to be in this panel with you, to listen. I admire all of you guys and keep the good work. I have a brother who has bipolar disorder. I'm a true believer in positive thinking, on all the foundations that you guys do and the work that you are doing, Mauricio, Jill, Victor at the WBC. And I'm just very, very happy that we have this space and to think positive. We are humans and we are sensitive, and we need to send a lot of love to the world to really have an impact.
A lot of love.
Yes.
Absolutely. Does anyone have anything else? Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to this? Well, then I'm simply going to say, stay home, stay cool. The world is out there waiting for you. Get ready. Love.
I want to show one slide before we go. If you can show the picture in the screen, please. 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, she's downstairs waiting for me to go play with her.
Okay.
Where's your wife?
She's downstairs.
Wife
Well,
is
they're actually by the pool, I
gorgeous.
think.
Gorgeous wife.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, they're downstairs waiting for me.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
And thank you very much, all of you, for having the time to share your life, your experiences, your feelings, and stay safe, stay home, and we love you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.